As we now move into committee reports in Block H, call your attention to a direct resolution. The Committee of Reference report sent one resolution directly to plenary for action as it was deemed to be non-controversial. Hint. I call on Douglas Wooten, Vice Chair of the Committee of Reference, to present the resolution.
Good afternoon, General Senate. I'm Doug Wooten, the Vice Chair of the Committee of Reference of the Executive Council representing the Southern Conference. Madam Moderator, on behalf of the Business Committee, I move the adoption of the resolution entitled U.S. Ratification of the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty.
The action has been moved. It comes from a committee, so it does not need a second. Would you like to speak to it?
Madam Moderator, this resolution was submitted by the New Hampshire and the Southwest Conference. I yield my time to Gordon Crouch, a delegate from the New Hampshire Conference, to speak to this action.
Good afternoon. My name is Gordon Crouch. I'm a UCC minister from New Hampshire, and I present this resolution to you on behalf of the New Hampshire and Southwest Conferences, both of which passed this very resolution. Friends, as you know, on December 22nd, a bipartisan coalition of senators ratified the new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty with Russia, also called New START. This treaty is exclusively between the United States and Russia and pertains to our mutual agreement to gradually lower our number of nuclear weapons. As many have said, this is indeed a good start to a world without nuclear weapons. But it is only a start. There is still a long ways to go on the journey to nuclear disarmament. The next logical step, then, is for our Senate to ratify the 1996 Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. The Test Ban Treaty is a multilateral treaty already ratified by 154 nations, including Russia and all of our NATO allies. This treaty prohibits all nuclear test explosions, establishes a highly sophisticated global monitoring system that detects and deters cheating, and allows for short notice on-site inspections. In so doing, it significantly constrains the development and spread of nuclear weapons. This is the next logical step because U.S. and international security is stronger not only when the world's two largest nuclear arsenals are reduced, but also when other nations are prevented from developing and building up nuclear weapons as well. Friends, this resolution is very timely. Just 3 weeks ago, at the Test Ban Treaty Organization Preparatory Commission in Austria, a top United States official, the Assistant Secretary of State, Rose Gottemeller, said the following: "I would like to assure you of President Obama's unshakable commitment to ratification of the Test Ban Treaty by the United States and its entry into force at the earliest possible date. Entry into force of the Test Ban Treaty is an essential step toward the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons." And then she went on to say, "Our recent experience working with the U.S. Senate to gain their consent to ratification of the New START Treaty has prepared us for what is expected to be an equally thorough and robust debate over the Test Ban Treaty. We do not expect it will be easy or happen quickly, but we will work hard to make it happen. In anticipation of the ratification effort, we have begun a process of engaging the Senate and the American public on the national security benefits of the Test Ban Treaty. While we have no date in mind for a ratification vote, we will work to engage members of the Senate on the national security rationale behind our support of the Test Ban Treaty." I was told I had a couple minutes, but am I not allowed to continue here?
Is it okay with you if he continues?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Assistant Secretary of State Gadameller's remarks underscore that while there is still much work to be done, the effort and the debate concerning ratification has already begun. This is not an issue that is on a back shelf somewhere. It is current and it is active. I am hopeful then that with a patient, sustained, high-level educational campaign such as we saw with the New START Treaty and such as is promised by Assistant Secretary Gadameller, senators will once again get their questions answered and the facts will show that the Test Ban Treaty is indeed the next vital step in an effective 21st century non-proliferation strategy. The fact that the New START Treaty was passed by 2/3 of the Senate in this time of hyper-partisanship is a hopeful sign that senators from both parties recognize that the American people want action to be taken to protect them from the threat of nuclear weapons. By passing this resolution today, we educate, empower, and encourage our churches to engage in this important national debate as witnesses for peace in the ongoing struggle for a nuclear-free world. By passing this resolution, we demonstrate our commitment to the well-being of our planet, the future of our children, and the security of all. In the end, supporting the Test Ban Treaty is in line with the history and tradition of the United Church of Christ, as evidenced by past resolutions on disarmament, past resolutions against nuclear testing, and past resolutions for a vision of just peace. To the New Hampshire and Southwest conferences, the choice is clear. A world without nuclear testing is a safer, more humane world, a world more in line with God's shalom. It's the next logical step in imagining what is possible, a world without nuclear weapons. Please join us in voting in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Is there any additional discussion on this motion regarding the adoption of the resolution entitled U.S. Ratification of the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty? Microphone number 5.
Just a quick question. My name is Patrick
Please state
Powers.
your name and conference, please.
Patrick Powers from the Mid-South Conference of Missouri. How would you describe tying our nation's hand behind our back while there's other countries that don't necessarily are going to be following this treaty that haven't signed it? For instance, Iran and North Korea.
Well, it's certainly the belief that if we go ahead and sign or ratify this treaty, that we are placing pressure on those nations that have not yet ratified. We'd be placing pressure on China, we'd be placing pressure on Israel, Egypt, those that are in the Middle East, that those can also apply pressure to other nations as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak to this motion, either in favor or in opposition? Seeing no one moving towards the microphones, if there is no objection, shall we vote? If you are in favor of adopting the resolution entitled U.S. Ratification of the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, I encourage you to press 1 on your voting device. If you are opposed, press 2. Voting has begun. Abstentions, press 3. Thank you. Ten seconds. Polls are closed. The motion has passed. We have adopted the resolution entitled U.S. Ratification of the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. Our next action moves us to committee number 7. I call on Adam T.G. to present the recommended action from committee 7. Assigned to this committee was supporting international human rights related to sexual orientation and gender identity. As this comes from a committee, it does not require a second. This is a resolution of witness. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes.
Would you like to make it?
Madam Moderator, thank you. And to answer your earlier question, Judas.
Excellent. Why? We'll talk later.
I'd also like to thank the committee, each member of committee number 7 for all the work that they've done on this, and also to direct your attention to 3 changes that we made as a committee. Very minor changes after line 97. Line 98 should be on the screen, is a paragraph shift, so there's a new paragraph begun. On line 103, we inserted the acronym for sexual orientation and gender identity, the SOGI in parentheses. And then on line 126, denominations plural was a typo and confusing, and so we just notated as the United Church of Christ. And so those are the changes that the committee made. Otherwise, as it was sent out to you and posted online. I'd also like to note and to really recognize those who are standing with us today on the stage, who are members of the Hayden Park UCC Church in Worcester, Massachusetts, and are members of the LGBT Asylum Task Force. And they've come here to the U.S. Seeking asylum from places like Zambia and Jamaica, from Lebanon and Cameroon, due to the oppression that was related to sexual orientation or gender identity. And so our committee has invited them to stand up here with us as a sign of solidarity as we present this resolution to you. And so, without further ado, I move on behalf of Committee 7 that the General Synod adopts this resolution supporting international human rights related to sexual orientation and gender identity, and we have unanimously recommended this adoption.
As you may recall, this is a motion or a resolution of witness requiring a 2/3 vote. As it has come from a committee, it does not require a second. Anyone else with déjà vu? Would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes.
Continue.
Actually, no. But I'd like to cede my time to Emily Heath to do so.
Good afternoon. My name is Emily Heath, and I'm a delegate and pastor from the Vermont Conference, and I'm a member of the committee that unanimously recommended this resolution. I'm proud to be able to commend this resolution on their behalf, and I thank Adam for asking me to do so. As a committee, we found the rationale for passing this to be simple yet compelling. We believe in full human rights for all who are created in the image of God, and sexual orientation and gender identity have for too long been justifications for violence, both in our country and around the world. In committee, we heard firsthand from people who had fled their homelands for this reason. In addition to those who join us on stage, one of their friends could not join us because should she be exposed in her home country for being LGBT, her family could be targeted. Their stories are beyond troubling. We stand in solidarity with them. One of the most troubling things about all of this is that thus far the voices of American Christianity that have been heard around the world have not been voices of justice and compassion. American fundamentalist pastors have done nothing to discourage, and in some cases have encouraged, attitudes like those behind the so-called Kill the Gays bill in Uganda. The Yogyakarta Principles, which this resolution addresses, thoroughly outline human rights that all of God's children who are LGBT deserve. Things like just process in judicial proceedings, freedom from fear of torture, freedom from fear of sexual assault and execution, access to education and competent health care, and guarantees of non-discrimination in their work and family lives. These are good principles, and though not written for this purpose, they are theologically sound principles. And if we as a church raise our voices in support of this resolution, we will raise an alternative Christian voice of justice, compassion, and hope that will echo across our country and beyond. I hear from many of my LGBT brothers and sisters, including ones I grew up with less than 2 hours away from here, that they believe the church does not love them. Of course, we here do. But the fault for them feeling that way is not with them. It's not even with those Christians who foster their oppression. Because in the end, it is solely our responsibility to raise our voices loud enough to counter that message of oppression. And it's our responsibility to join our voice with God's still speaking voice and stand with these people. Should we pass this resolution, I firmly believe that our voice of witness will be that much louder and the glory will be God's. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. The motion before us has to do with the adoption of the resolution supporting international human rights related to sexual orientation and gender identity as presented. Is there any discussion? Call on the speaker at microphone 2. Please state your name and affiliation.
Larry Holderbaum, Indiana-Kentucky Conference. I bought a pin. Jesus didn't reject people, neither do we. I expect no more, no less than 100% vote yes.
Seeing no other speakers, speaker at microphone 2.
Good afternoon. I'm Caitlin Rodner with Wider Church Ministries Central Atlantic Conference. Good afternoon. I stand here today with two of my Wider Church Ministries colleagues which brought forth this resolution. I am a first-year student at Pacific School of Religion, a lifelong UCC member, proud to be part of our Progressive Voice for Justice, and trying to live our extravagant welcome. I ask you, in considering this resolution addressing our universal human rights, to imagine a world where the loudest Christian voice is not one of hate or intolerance, but one of compassion and justice. Imagine a world where people everywhere know the alternative to religious homophobia and know that alternative as the United Church of Christ. Imagine a broadcast not of crusades of hate in the name of Jesus, but of a church defending human rights for all humans. By supporting this resolution, we stand with our brothers and sisters who have been discriminated against, tortured, raped, or murdered because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. We heard an example yesterday of how our witness does make a difference to those oppressed from the Coalition of Immokalee Workers. We hope that all who are present today will stand with us and bear witness again by voting in favor of this resolution. We believe it is our responsibility as individuals and as the alternative Christian voice to advocate for the fair and equal application of human rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker at microphone 1.
Jennifer Spears, Southeast Conference. I rise to give support to this resolution. As a transgender female living in Orangeburg, South Carolina, I have experienced total support from the African American community, and largely been shunned by the white community. In my workplace, I have experienced psychological violence, no physical, but psychological shunning. I have had members of my own family turn their back on me, tell me I'm going to hell for they say a choice. So today, I give my voice loudly and forcefully to this resolution and ask that you support it completely as the body of Christ. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing that we have no one in opposition, I think we have something at microphone 6.
Hi, I'm Twyla Rhodes with the Florida Conference, and we would just like to see if it's a possibility to make an amendment to add gender expression to the, because you have it in here, on line 99, and we just like to add it consistently throughout, where you have gender identity and sexual orientation.
Now, as that would be an editorial clarification, if there would be no objection, could we just add that, if that would be acceptable?
The gender identity language, the sexual orientation and gender identity language is the United Nations language. That's, yeah. So that's where that language comes from. I mean, I don't know. That's the language referenced in the Yogacarta principles. So if you want to speak to further clarifying. I mean, if expression works for you better than identity, then...
No, it says, line 98 and 99 says human rights including human right violations in relations to sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expressions. And so later on in the document, it doesn't express that it's gender expression as well. So we would like to just add it in there on top of everything.
Yeah, that would be a friendly amendment.
Okay, so we will consider that an editorial thing. If there's no objection, we will add that. Yes. Speaker at microphone 5.
Clearly, we like the words gender expression, but what in line 102 and 103, that is declaring support for a document, the Yogacarta Principles on, and this is the title of the document. So in that line, it would probably not be helpful to add 2 more words.
Thank you. With that in mind, the person who made the recommendation for the editorial change, would you be willing to pull that back? That's fine. Okay, thank you. Then if seeing no objection and hearing many in favor and none opposed, shall we move to the vote? If you are in favor of adopting the resolution of witness regarding supporting international human rights related to sexual orientation and gender identity as presented, press 1 on your keypad. If you are opposed, press 2. If you abstain, press 3. Voting has begun. Ten seconds remaining. The motion has been adopted.
Could I have a point of personal privilege from up here?
Well, usually no, but what the hey?
I'd like to grant voice to the members of Asylum Task Force with us to give some words of thanks.
To give us what?
Some words of thanks.
Some words of kindness. Is that acceptable? Of thanks. Is that acceptable? Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm sure you'd love to hear my voice, and you know what? I'm on big screen television, so thank you. My name is Linford Cunningham. I come to you from Jamaica via Worcester, Massachusetts. In my country, I was beaten, tortured, stoned, chased due to my sexuality. Some of the abuse came at the hands of deacons in my church who prayed over me for 8 hours, asking that the demon of homosexuality be exorcised from me. I speak for my friends who stand behind me from Zambia, Cameroon, and Lebanon, and for all LGBT folks both here in America and around the world, when I offer a huge thank you to the delegates for passing this resolution. A special thanks to the wider church ministries and Mike Schunemeyer for bringing this resolution to the floor and for paying our plane tickets. You know, I gotta get here. For many LGBT individuals, such as myself, we have been chastised, beaten, and ridiculed by those who call themselves Christians. It is life-giving to see you out there who have paved a different future in the name of Jesus for all of those young people in our countries who will have the possibility of a different future. Each of us have friends that are no longer alive. Some of them were disemboweled, burned, chopped with machetes, found in trunks of cars, and ultimately murdered. Would you join me in one short moment of silence in their memory, which is about 15 seconds? Thanks to the LGBT Asylum Support Task Force for offering housing, food, clothing, and a welcoming UCC ONA church named Adwin Park. And thank you, Pastor Judy. The task force continues to work with over 25 individuals from Kenya, Iraq, Uganda, El Salvador and Ghana, Nigeria and Palestine. The cost to take care of individuals who are fleeing their countries is enormous and weighs around $3,500 per person. So of course, if you want to donate, please feel free to do so. Angels are rejoicing in heaven due to the impact and enormity of this vote. We will never forget this. Please continue to fight for justice for us and everybody wherever you can. Thanks. May God bless us all on this journey to justice. And my two goodly friends here would like to say 2 quick sentences. Again, thank you very much for having voted to pass the resolution. Champo, Ahmad.
Good afternoon. I wish I could say it gets easier to tell my story all the time, but it doesn't. But I can tell you that each time I tell my story, something is different, and it's usually for the better. And if I do cry today, I do know that it's because I'm standing here and I can say I'm proud that we are standing together, because what you're gonna be doing is not just changing lives. You're now saving lives. You're saving the lives of my brothers and sisters, of my cousins, and the future, people that may never be able to come here like I was able to. Some are not able to leave home, but with this resolution, you'll be helping them from where they are. So please, when you have a bad day and you're trying to figure out what you haven't or done right, this is something you've done right. Be proud of yourselves. Thank you.
Salam, my name is Ahmad. I'm a gay Muslim at this convention, which is something. I would like to take the chance to thank you on behalf of all gay Muslims in the world. Thank you, you Christian, and peace. Islam is peace religion. Thank you so much, and shukran in Arabic. Thank you.
I recognize the speaker at microphone number 5.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Christopher Jenkins, Massachusetts Conference. I rise to, for lack of a better term, a point of privilege to just encourage the body. We've passed a few resolutions that could be categorized as human rights-based. And I would like to encourage everybody from the local church level, the local members, all the way up to the Office of Communication, to push hard. I don't have the answers as to how, but push hard to get these stories reported. I am convinced that people of goodwill would be outraged if they knew. And certainly that would help me. There have been some things, even what I expressed concerns about earlier. I would have been more on board more readily if those things had been more widely reported. So I hope we use our influence to get these things reported, because these are things that should be much widely known beyond resolutions that are passed in this hall. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Speaker at microphone 5.
My name is Gary Friend from the Ohio Conference, and I'd like to have a moment of privilege also, if you would, please.
What is
Madam
your
Moderator.
privilege?
The moderator's job is sometimes a thankless job in many senses. It's like an umpire at a baseball game or a basketball game. But you have done, all of you have done such a fantastic job in my opinion, and I want to give you thanks for that.
Well, we'd be crazy to roll that out of order. As we continue to work with Committee Number 12, I call on John Ramos to present the recommended action from Committee Number 12. Assigned to this committee was actions of hostility against Islam and the Muslim community.
Good afternoon, church. The young man who was here earlier with the camera, he was right. You do look marvelous. My name is John Ramos, and I am the moderator and a delegate of the Connecticut Conference. The resolution entitled On Actions of Hostility Against Islam and the Muslim Community has been distributed electronically and will be displayed on your screen in terms of changes. I'd like to thank Committee Number 12 for the great work that they did, and certainly for all those who stepped up and took specific roles during the process. I'd like to thank Dorinda Broadnax from our Executive Council and Margaret Johnston, who was our technical support volunteer. After worship and community building, we experienced a review of the educational intensive and a 10-minute proponent presentation. Discussion was followed by a deliberation period, which began with feedback from a volunteer responder. This reflection led to the designation of a writing subcommittee. After approximately 20 minutes, the subcommittee reported out proposed word changes. Through consultation with proponents and with one another, delegates responded to the proposed changes and developed a final document. So, on line 72, you can see that it now reads 28th General Synod. On lines 78 and 9, you can see that the word Muslim was changed to Muslims. And other words that were added there are invite other ecumenical and interfaith bodies to join with us in this effort. And you can see the words that were struck. Line 83, words added, and document and publicize actions taken in support of Muslims and people of other faiths, especially in the face of hatred, fear, ignorance, and what has been labeled Islamophobia. And finally, in line 87, words added are and publicize, as well as governmental actions and public activities, so that it reads and support and publicize public policies, governmental actions, and public activities that ensure our value of religious diversity. On behalf of Committee Number 12, I move that the 28th General Synod adopts the resolution as amended on actions of hostility against Islam and the Muslim community.
As this comes from a committee, it does not require a second. This is a resolution of witness requiring a 2/3 vote. Mr. Chair, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Only very briefly to say that we felt these changes made this resolution more powerful because it encourages other people of faith to join our effort, and it calls for documentation and publication of actions and activities taken that support Muslims and people of other faiths, and that ensure our value of religious diversity. We would recommend approval.
Thank you. The action before us is the resolution regarding the actions of hostility against Islam and the Muslim community as presented. Is there any discussion? The gentleman at microphone 1.
Yes. My name is Paul Adkins, and I'm from the Massachusetts Conference and am a member of Committee 12, and I would like to urge the body to accept this profoundly important, and I would also suggest timely resolution. Theologian Hans Kung once said, "There will never be peace among the nations of the world until there is peace among the religions of the world." Yet there is so much for us to do, and a great deal of it is catching up, and a great deal of it is understanding something of our journey and what it is that we need to do. And I would like to just very briefly suggest a couple of things. One is to think about the context. Until the middle of the 20th century, we're talking about maybe 50 or 60 years ago, the religious landscape of this country was essentially what historian William Hutchinson called the Protestant establishment. With the seven sisters, he called them, including Congregational, Baptist, Methodist, and so forth, having an overwhelming dominance of the religious life of this country. In 1955, the scholar Will Herberg published a book called Protestant, Catholic, and Jew, drawing attention to many people in this country that were not just Protestants, but there are Catholics and Jews. And then, of course, in 1965, the new immigration law opened up the floodgates of immigration from third world countries. And so now we need to involve ourselves in a catch-up, go-to-the-moon kind of program of helping us to understand our new neighbors, our new friends, and to accept them fully into the fabric of our society.
Thank you. Speaker at microphone 5.
Elizabeth Barnum, delegate and a minister in the Rhode Island Conference. As I look through the list of the titles of all our resolutions, I'm struck that this one begins with the word hostility, and a lot of the other resolutions begin with words in support of, affirming, reflection and advocacy. And I think of people who might be seeing this list online or Googling or whatnot, and I just would love to see a word that really says we're making a positive statement. So I'm open. I don't have a suggestion, which I should have, but countering hostility, or I don't know if that came up in the committee at all, if someone might be able to respond to that.
Would you like to address that question, that concern?
Well, it wasn't discussed perhaps only because the full resolution reads on actions of hostility against. So I think that might be
For a verb to say that we are advocating for or countering hostility, or an effort to take action again. It's just,
well,
anyone have a word?
It was not discussed.
Okay.
Thank you for your comment. Microphone number 5.
Larry Ionetti from the Massachusetts delegation. A friendly suggestion that, and I don't have the actual wording because it was up on the screen and I don't have the paper text.
Okay, excuse me. A friendly suggestion in regarding this needs to be from microphone 6.
Okay, it's a friendly modification.
It's still a friendly move to microphone 6. In the meantime, we'll take our microphone 2, and we'll come back.
Nick Casterling, Pacific Northwest Conference delegate. I'm rising in support mostly because my first 2 years in college have been with 2 roommates, one from Libya and Tripoli and one from Saudi Arabia. And I have had great personal growth through getting to know all these people, and I've had Muslims from other countries tell me that, you know, I used to think Americans hated us, but now because I came to America and I got to know you and other Americans, that I can go back to where I'm from and tell them that Americans are not bad people. And I want to be part of a church that embraces that, and I think I am, so I think we should pass this resolution.
Thank you for your comment. Microphone 6 has a speaker.
I'm still the same Larry Ionetti that I was over there. In the modified text that appeared on the screen, there was one of the items that ended with the word Islamophobia.
Mm-hmm.
Since Islamophobia means irrational fear of Islam, I wonder if we simply add the word irrational before the word fear, which precedes that, and take out the word Islamophobia. It's an awkward word.
Okay, are you referring on line 83?
83, exactly, yes.
And
just before the word fear, simply add the word irrational. That's what Islamophobia means. Because Islamophobia is just one of those awkward words.
Okay. Do you have this friendly amendment written down?
I can write down the word irrational if that would help.
Sometimes it would. I never remember how many R's it has. What I hear you saying is after hatred, add irrational before fear and strike and what has been labeled Islamophobia.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. Would there be a second to that? And? Oh, while you're doing this, do you want an and before ignorance?
Yes.
Excellent. Happy to hear it.
A-N-D.
A-N-D. That helps. I always want to put 2 N's in there. Okay, we have a call for an amendment. This is debatable. Would anybody wish to speak to this amendment? If so, if you wish to speak in favor of it, move to green. Opposed, move to red. I see somebody at the red microphone. Microphone 3, please.
Matt Davis. I'm a member of the Wisconsin delegation, and I was on the Committee 12. We discussed at length using the word Islamophobia, and in general our sense was that this is a word that has a connotation much like say the word Nazi. It's not the official word that was used to describe the German government, but it had popular, widespread understanding of what that meant. And our feeling was Islamophobia has widespread understanding in the community of what it means. So that's why we decided to stay with that word. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anyone speaking in favor of the amendment right now, so number 4, please.
Mike Underhill of the Ohio Conference. I was also on the committee, and I would just like to support the previous statement. Whether we like it or not, Islamophobia is a word that's used in the public place. And there's no reason that we should be shy about naming it for what it's called. And it's important in this document to have the words that actually reflect the reality which unfortunately we live in. So I would strongly encourage you to resoundingly defeat this amendment.
Thank you. Microphone 1, please.
My name is Andrea Alsemeyer. I'm from the Illinois South Conference. I was also on the committee, and I would just like to say they are right. It was very much discussed in our committee. However, it seems to me that as the point of this resolution is to stop offending people, if people find the word Islamophobia offensive, the way to stop offending people is not to offend other people. Thank you.
Microphone number 5.
Hi, Jackie Lingelbach from Penn Central Conference. I trust that the folks who have been putting that together have done a very good job, and I know in the hearing they were having that conversation, so I would like to call the vote.
We have been asked to call the vote regarding ceasing debate around this amendment. Since we're getting really good at this, all in favor of ceasing debate, press 1. All opposed to ceasing debate, press 2. All abstentions, press 3, as we call the question. Wow, nothing's being registered. You can vote. Technical difficulties, please stand by. Shall we have a do-over? Let's call the question. All in favor of calling the question, press 1. All opposed to calling the question, press 2. All abstentions, press 3. Magic things, show the screen. The power. Next sentence, someone should move for us to have the Jeopardy theme during this. 10 seconds. No. Whoa, stop time. People are having problems with the voting? Oh, we're doing Jeopardy. Okay. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Debate will cease. It is now time to discuss the amendment before us, actually to vote on it. As it was presented, this had to do with line 83. Can we see that on the screen, magic people? Angels of technology. I guess I didn't pray enough today. So, as we look at this, it was to add the word irrational between hatred and fear, add the word and between fear and ignorance, and strike the rest of the phrase, which was, and what has been labeled Islamophobia. Are you clear on what the amendment is? All in favor of adopting this amendment, press 1 for yes. All opposed, press 2 for no. All abstentions, press 3. The motion to accept the proposed amendment has been defeated. So our language goes back to reading in that line, especially in the face of hatred, fear, ignorance, and what has been labeled Islamophobia. Microphone 6, please.
Hello, David Stewart from the Illinois Conference. I move to amend the title of the resolution to read, to counter actions of hostility against Islam and the Muslim community.
Is there a second? Would you like to speak to that? I forgot to do that before, sorry.
Yes, I agree with the other delegate who said that we would like to be making a positive comment about what we're doing, not just leaving it open to interpretation of what we're doing. So I believe this accomplishes her intent, I hope.
Okay. This amendment would change the title of the document to read, to counter actions of hostility against Islam and the Muslim community. Is that correct? One moment. Talk amongst yourselves as I write, please. What's your assignment? Yes, we are overwhelmed and underwhelmed and never whelmed. Why? Okay. We have our amendment. Would anyone like to speak to this amendment in favor of it at a green or in opposition at a red microphone? Seeing no one moving towards a microphone, and if there is no objection, we will vote on this amendment, which is to change the title of the resolution to read, to counter actions of hostility against Islam and the Muslim community. If you are in favor of this amendment, press 1 for yes. If you are opposed, press 2 for no. If you're abstaining, press 3. Fifteen seconds. Voting is closed. This amendment has been passed. Microphone 6, please.
I'm Pat Barnes McConnell from OGM, and I'm referring specifically to line 88. If that could get back up on the board, I'd appreciate that. The question that I have is, why was the word THE in front of value changed to OUR? I would love to think that there's a world that the United Church of Christ did not own the word, the value of religious diversity.
Okay, so we will address that question to the chair regarding the striking of the word the and replacing it with our in the section numbered 87.
Well, I think I might ask for one or two of our committee folks to step up to the mic and help with this, but if I remember correctly, it had to do with the idea that we wanted to make it our own. We wanted to, in fact, claim it as opposed to having it be a neutral term.
Well, I bring this up because as you were speaking, you spoke of others who would be collaborating in this, other units, other religions. So our sounds a little bit arrogant to me. I'll just leave that to whatever you want to do, but my own thought is that it should be kept as the.
Okay, if you wish to make a motion, you may. Otherwise, that will be something we can simply consider.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'll make a motion then that that word be retained.
And your motion would then be to put the back in and remove our in that line?
Exactly.
Would that be correct?
Exactly.
Is there a second to that? There is a second. Would you like to speak to this?
Well, I think I've already said what I thought. It just seemed extremely arrogant to me. We do not own the concept of the value of religious diversity in the U.S. or anywhere. In fact, everything that we've been doing is about diversity among lots of people. We will join with them. We just joined our brothers and sisters that were speaking about Resolution 7. And certainly that group also is a part of religious diversity. So I would just, it's a simple thing, but it's the kind of thing that can, on a dime, turn a feeling about where we are and what we really believe.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak for the proposed amendment, which would reinsert the and remove our, speak at a green microphone. Those speaking against the proposed amendment go to a red microphone. Microphone number 3, please.
Jennifer Johnson, Wisconsin Conference, and I was a member of Committee 12. We put in the word our because it is a United Church of Christ resolution, not saying that we own religious value or anything like that, but this is what our denomination is saying to the world, that this is our value of diversity. And encompassed in that value of diversity, we denounce these actions and publicize actions that are positive, and also denounce such hatred, ignorance, and so-called Islamophobia.
Thank you. Anyone speaking in favor of this amendment at a green microphone? Another in opposition at microphone 3.
Hi, my name is Tim Gormley from the main conference. I was a member of the ad hoc editing committee, and I made the change from the to our with the approval of the rest of the committee. The logic behind making that change is that we, as the United Church of Christ, may have a distinct value of religious diversity. I would argue that there is not one value of religious diversity. Therefore, as an entity, we need to work to protect our own value without claiming ownership upon the value itself of all religious diversity. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else going to a microphone, if there is no opposition, then, Microphone 1.
I'm Beth Boisvert, delegate from the Massachusetts Conference, and I think, without even going so far as to saying arrogant, I think it lowers the status of religious, the value, by saying it's just our value. Rather, saying the value makes it a common value, for lack of a better word. So it's something that we are supporting as a common value, rather than just something that we claim as this denomination. Thank you.
Thank you. We've had a very patient individual at microphone 5. If we still have an individual at microphone 5?
Sure. Sean Weston, Local Church Ministries. Call the question.
Okay. The question has been called. This would be to end debate regarding the amendment as proposed in Section 87, which has to do with adding the and removing our. Did you follow that? I didn't. So, calling the question. Those in favor of ending debate, press 1 for yes. Those opposed, press 2 for no. Abstain by pressing 3. Voting is done. It has been passed that the question has been called to debate on this issue has ceased, which means we get to vote on the proposed amendment. The proposed amendment is to reinsert the word "the" and remove the word "our" in section 87. Those in favor of the proposed amendment, press 1 for yes. Those opposed, press 2 for no. Abstaining, press 3. Three seconds. The amendment has been defeated. The question back before us is the adoption now of the resolution entitled "To Counter Actions of Hospitality Against Islam." I was so against the hostility, I got rid of it. What did I say hostility? I said hospitality, probably because I can't read my writing. It comes from being in a welcoming church. The gentleman at microphone 5.
Sean Weston, Local Church Ministries. I call the question.
Is there a second? All in favor of calling the question, press. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the voting begin. Please let the voting begin. Is it going? There. Some nice whistling over here. Hold on. Yes, microphone 3.
These aren't working over here. None of their clickers.
Okay, let's have a do-over. No? Just keep going. Just keep pushing your buttons. Just keep voting. Just keep voting. God, I love finding Nemo down here, right? Do we have it? Are your votes being counted? Yes? If your votes are being counted, thumbs up if you've got them. Votes not being counted, thumbs down if you've got them. Okay. I believe 15 seconds. Quick question, onomatopoeia means a word that sounds like it's spelled. Why isn't onomatopoeia that way? Okay, recalled the question. Debate has ceased. The question before us is whether or not to adopt the resolution of witness, now titled, "To Counter Actions of Hostility Against Islam and the Muslim Community." Those in favor of adopting this resolution, press 1. Those opposed, press 2. Abstentions, press 3. 15 seconds. Polling is closed. The amendment has been adopted. If the speaker at microphone 5 could state your name and affiliation, please.
Callie Rogers-Whitty, Executive Minister of Wider Church Ministries and Co-Executive of Global Ministries. Was very pleased when this body voted to give voice to our international partners on Friday night, and I would like to ask you to allow our one of our partners to have you hear his voice for a brief statement in response to this vote, Mr. Mohammed Samak, who is the General Secretary of the Arab Group for Muslim-Christian Dialogue throughout the Middle East.
As he has been granted voice, is this okay with the rest of you? Excellent. Please proceed.
Thank you. Well, brothers and sisters, allow me to address you as brothers and sisters. I just want to say how much honored I am to be with you in this synod and to participate as a speaker. I come from the Middle East, and I want to express my gratitude for this resolution you have already adopted. And I want to tell you that it is very important for many reasons. I will only speak about two. One, it shows clearly that the UCC is up to the standard of the Christian values that the church is promoting. And the United States of America is also up to the standard of the humanitarian values she speaks always about. Now, the second reason of importance for this resolution concerns directly the Christians in the Middle East. You know, Christians in the Middle East are not in good shape because of rise of fundamentalism and of extremism. Fundamentalism meaning monopolizing God and monopolizing truth and refusing all other beliefs. Here, Christians and Muslims suffer together. And extremism meaning refusing the other all the way. And in this way, Christians are suffering too. Now, by adopting this resolution, you send a clear message to the people of the Middle East, to hold the Islamic world, that this is Christianity and openness, and this is a message of love, not of tolerance. Freud describes tolerance as an insult to the other, but Christianity is a religion of love, and this is what you made today. Thank you for that.
Delegates, we pulled a switch on you, and that means that we are in the home stretch. The home stretch of committee reports. There are two committees waiting to report on items 2 or resolutions 2 and 10. And just to let you know, we have about 20 minutes to complete our business. If we do not finish, whatever is undone will be sent to the Executive Council to deal with. At this time, I call on Keith Scott to present the recommended action from committee number 2.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Good afternoon, General Senate 28. Oh, I can't hear you. Good afternoon, General Senate 28. All right. My name is Keith Scott, and I am the chair for committee number 2, titled Resolution for Mindful and Faithful Eating, submitted by the Southern California Nevada Conference. Amen. I am a member of Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago of the Illinois Conference, where I am in care and currently seeking call in the UCC. So, search committees take note. You need look no further. The pastor you are seeking is speaking to you. The version of the resolution first, I would like to thank the committee process team for their role in providing leadership, direction, and guidance in this process. I am also very grateful for the effort, hard work, and commitment of committee number 2 as we journey together through this process. I ask you all to just give a round of applause for committee number 2 and their efforts. Thank you. The version of the resolution that came out of committee has been distributed to you earlier. After prayerful thought and deliberation and guidance of the Holy Spirit, we believe the changes we made strengthen the intent of the resolution. Please follow along as I go over the changes that we made. In line 74, the word invites was changed to encourages. Excuse me. On line 75, the word individuals was added to include our personal responsibility as people of God. We made significant changes to the second, therefore be it resolved, which we also believe strengthen the intent of the resolution. In line 79, the words identify and or were added, and in line 80, curricula for all ages was added to reflect a more inclusive curricula. Beginning with the word impact on line 81 through the words God's children on line 84, this phrase was added to reflect a stronger resolution. Madam Moderator, on behalf of committee number 2, I move that the 28th General Senate adopt the resolution on mindful and faithful eating and recommends approval as amended.
Thank you. That motion comes out of committee and does not require a second. Do you wish to speak to the motion further?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
As a committee, the journey we took was a pleasant one, where all voices were heard and all perspectives were respected and appreciated. The passion of this topic concerning mindful and faithful eating was apparent as committee members did not hesitate to share their thoughts, hopes, dreams around this matter. In the midst of crafting this version with all the commas, colons, semicolons, and periods, we were even reminded not to put a period where God has placed a comma. We climbed aboard our hybrid vehicle with a consensus parliamentary decision model. It was solar energy that fueled our vehicle, as we had a relay team of drivers named the Creator, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. When we arrived at our destination, we evaluated the process, and most on the trip appreciated the journey. I am very thankful and grateful for the time, effort, honesty, and the respect I believe was felt by all who participated in this process. The sailing could always be smoother, but I believe we were truly guided by the Holy Spirit on this journey. And what we present to you today is a result of the community that was built, the respect that was realized, and the passion that was present. Thank you.
Thank you. Delegates, you should have received a copy of this resolution. They should have been distributed on your tables. A reminder that this is a resolution of witness and requires a 2/3 vote. We're now ready for debate and advocacy on the matter. The chair will recognize a speaker at microphone number 2.
Hi, I am Nancy Stegmiller. I represent Wider Church Ministries from the Montana Northern Wyoming Conference. I stand not to contest the resolution, but to offer a caution. I wish to speak about the whereas lines 38 through 42. I feel they lack some data or statistical information. They are from sources that may have been limited in the information and the perspective offered. I remind everyone that God created all the world, earth and universe, and it is good. Our human species is responsible for an abundance of greenhouse gases, and we have choices. The animals of the fields, the skies, the oceans, and the ranges, etc., offer us food resources to all parts of the world for those of us who want or need to partake of the foods, if food is even available to parts of the world. So let us carefully consider the perspective and the content of a curriculum to be developed and used regarding eating right and food choices. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes a speaker at microphone number 5.
Matt Davis from the Wisconsin Conference. This is a question, line 80. There's a phrase in there that refers to impact our ecological footprint. I'm questioning if that should be ecological footprint.
The chair directs that to the chairperson of the committee.
Thank you. That does seem to be a typographical error. So it should be ecological and not egological.
Is there any objection, since it is and has been indicated by the committee that it is a typographical error? Is there anyone in the House objecting to making that change? Thank you. The change will be noted. It is on line number 80, and the word is ecological. Thank you. There is another speaker at microphone number 5.
Jason Donnelly, Executive Council. Mindful of everybody's time and the time that they've put into this and the tightness of our schedule, I would like to respectfully ask that we move through this one quickly enough, as we've saved the issue of theology for the very end of Synod, and it would be a shame to not be able to address it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing, thank you, no, at microphone number 4.
Amy Frenzy, Delegate, Rhode Island. I have a grave concern that this mindful eating resolution might evolve into a promotion of vegetarianism without concern for the ideas of locally raised and grass-fed humanitarian options in eating meat, as well as without any concern for the ethnic traditions and food that we so take as part of our social meals, even in church. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the speaker at microphone number 1.
Good afternoon. Ken Wells from Iowa, and a member of the People for Eating Tasty Animals. I would simply lift up that there are some fun ways that you can work with If you have food provided at church, I would invite you to label, this was made with local eggs, or this was farm-raised, grass-fed beef. Another common way to work with this resolution would be when you have food, when you've made a cookbook, have items feature the page number of that cookbook. And that encourages, in Woodbury County, we were written up in the Mother Earth News because our county requires that the jail and the mental health facility provide locally raised ingredients in their menus. And so these are simple ways that we can work together to promote good, healthy eating. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the speaker at microphone number 5.
Hi, Carlos Marquez Sterling, delegate of the Florida Conference. All right, Carlos Marquez Sterling, delegate of the Florida Conference. Due to the lack of time, I would like to call the question.
Thank you. Is there a second? All right. You know what the motion is on the floor. The motion is to end debate by the call. And you know how we're going to be voting here. If you are in favor of calling the question, please press 1 on your keypad. If you're against calling the question, please press number 2. If you abstain, please press number 3. And the voting has begun. Ten seconds remaining. Debate has ended as of the vote, and we are ready to vote on the resolution coming out of committee number 2, the resolution for mindful and faithful eating. All those in favor of adopting the resolution, please press number 1 on your keypad. If you are against the motion, please press number 2. And if you wish to abstain, please press number 3 on your keypad. Whoops. Hold up just a second. Okay, let's go ahead and vote. You have 10 more seconds to vote. No, I'm sorry. I would teach you the hula, but it will take a little longer than we can expect. Okay. Oh, we're stopped. Technical problems again. Okay, because we haven't reached it. Is there anyone who voted but believes their vote hasn't counted? Okay. It stops short of the number that I guess our text had expected, but that is the result, and the resolution passes in adoption. Okay. At this time, I would like to call on Elizabeth Duffy to present the recommended actions from Committee Number 10.
Hello, I am Elizabeth Duffy from the New York Conference, and I had the honor, to chair our final committee, which is Committee Number 10, on a resolution to form a theological commission. Now, this committee worked very hard to prayerfully discern the best possible plan of action for us to take, and in doing so, we have made some changes to the document. You do have the resolution in that packet that was handed out to you yesterday. The first change that we made is changing the name of the resolution. We have changed the name to a resolution to form a theological forum. Next, we made some changes to eliminate redundancy and strengthen the document, which you can find in your packet. Then, on the new line 112, which is original line 100, we included local church members so that theological resources are available to all of us. Then there is a significant change, which you can find at the end of the "therefore be it resolved" statement. And that new statement at the end of it reads, "This forum would not be a prescriptive council, but a forum for descriptive and diverse theologies across the church. The delegates request that the structure for such a proposed forum be developed by local church ministries and the Office of General Ministries and brought to the Executive Council with possible financial details for approval." The final change that we made is to the implementation. We ask that the implementation be changed to read, "The Office of Local Church Ministries and the Office of General Ministries are requested to implement this resolution." We did this so to include Joffrey Black, who is currently responsible for making theological statements on behalf of the United Church of Christ. And now, on behalf of Committee Number 10, I move that the 28th General Synod adopts the resolution titled "A Resolution to Form a Theological Forum" and recommends approval.
Thank you. That motion does come out of committee and therefore does not require a second. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes, I do. It became clear to this committee that the hesitancy to pass this resolution as it was originally presented was due to the lack of a concrete plan. Therefore, we chose to recommend that the Office of Local Church Ministries and the Office of General Ministries create a proposal of structure for the Theological Forum and present it to the Executive Council for approval. The committee is in favor of a theological forum after additional research and planning is completed. That is it.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, this is a prudential resolution and requires a majority to pass. Is there anyone wishing to speak on the motion, either in favor or against? The chair recognizes the speaker at microphone 2 and the enthusiastic young man there as well.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me. Madison Shockley, Southern California delegate. I stand in strong, urgent, and fervent support of the creation of a theological commission, a theological forum. Because after yesterday's vote, in which we resurrected the Council of Nicaea by inserting the triune God into our Constitution, we have work for them to do. On a serious note, I recommend an article by one of our UCC ministers, Sarah Campbell, and she shared it with me after our remarks yesterday. And she spent 4 months studying Nicaea and the Trinitarian formula and its relationship to the UCC. She discovered that it has not always been so, that we've used the triune adjective. It's popping up, she says in her article, slouching toward creedalism. It's popping up in surprising places in the National UCC Writings and in corporate public documents. The 2008 advertisement for the General Minister and President of the United Church of Christ said, "The General Minister and President must be someone who is grounded in the faith of the triune God." This phrase was not in the advertisement for the President in 1998 or in the previous, or 1988. That phrase was not in there. So something's happening, and I just want to say, I don't know how many others of you, when you read that advertisement in 2008, felt disqualified to be President of the United Church of Christ.
Seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the speaker at the microphone number 5.
Brenda James, Southern Conference Delegate. I just have a question regarding changing commission to forum and the rationale behind that. It seems to me a commission is a longer standing entity than a forum. If you could explain the rationale, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely. Our reason behind that is so that a forum is more of a meeting so that more voluntary discussion can go on. Since we are so afraid of it being prescriptive and we want it to be descriptive, we thought that a forum helped to encourage that, whereas a commission might sound it a little bit too formal and might make people a little bit afraid that it could be telling us what we have to believe instead of explaining what we do believe. So we voted and we decided that forum was something that we preferred.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the speaker at microphone number 1.
William Field, Central Atlantic Conference. Here in the CAC, we have a long-standing partnership with the Evangelische Kirche Mitteldeutschland, the Evangelical Church of Central Germany. And at first, when I read this resolution, I found that I did not approve of it. But after speaking with our partners who were touring in the conference very recently, they're looking for people to talk to about theology, and we have nobody. And this forum, especially with the word forum in here, this forum creates a space for us to think about theology as a church, talk about it, not impose it, but talk about it, and talk to our partners elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the speaker at microphone number 2.
Thank you. I'm Skylark Bruce, Ohio Conference lay delegate, and it's weird to see myself projected up there again. My opinion changed while on this committee. I was against the formation of a theological commission at first because of the concerns it would be a prescriptive elite body of privileged people telling all the rest of us what to think or believe. But I was willing to learn more. I'm glad to report that this was a fear shared by many on the committee, so our amendments speak to this and charge local church and general ministries with honoring the concerns that we have. Since I'm no longer concerned that the proposed theological forum would be a top-down mandate to the people about required theology, I specifically request of those responsible for creating the forum that it consists of a wide range of education levels and skill levels in academic discourse. We heard passionate support in committee for bringing theology to the regular Joes and Janes in the pews, and a revival of the study of God by all people. If the theological forum intends to support that move, it helps when the theology conversations are not over the heads and incomprehensible to what may be 90% of the denomination. Let's not reinforce the idea that intense God talk is for pastors and professors only. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the speaker at microphone number 5.
Madam Moderator, Jeff Brace from Justice and Witness Ministries in Penn Northeast Conference. Question for the chair, if I might ask. The implementation on lines 126 and 127 originally stated that this would be the responsibility of implementation for the local church ministries, and it adds the Office of General Ministries. It strikes me as an interesting addition since it adds a second covenant in ministries. I'm just interested in the rationale.
Absolutely. Our president, Geoffrey Black, is part of the Office of General Ministries. I'm correct in that, right? Okay. And right now it is his job to kind of explain what our theological standing is as the UCC. So this way, it'll actually be good because they'll have a committee to help him to do this, but he really needs to be a part of this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Speaker at microphone number 1.
I'm Walter Most from Penn Central Conference. Our conference does have a local theological commission, and I just asked our conference minister, we are the only conference to have a local theological commission, and we would like the opportunity to share on a wider basis, and at the national there is nothing to consult with in terms of theological questions, and that's part of the reason for the request. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker at microphone number 5, please.
Yes, can I call the question?
Thank you.
Oh, main conference.
Would you state your name and your conference, please?
Zachary Grant, main conference.
Thank you. The call is for the question. Is there a second? Second. Our vote will be on whether to call the question. If you're in favor of calling the question and ending debate, please press 1 on your keypad. If you wish to continue debate, you're voting no, and number 2 on your keypad. If you abstain, please press number 3 on your keypad. Fifteen seconds. The motion carries. The main motion is before the body, and we will be voting as we normally do. And remember to return your keypads to your conference ministers when you're done. This is, they're telling me remove your lanyards from your keypads when you return them. They say you can keep your lanyards now, so within your conferences you can decide. And thank you for maintaining your humor as we go along. Everybody ready to vote? We are at the end of our business, so this will be your last vote. If you are in favor of the motion to adopt the resolution to form a theological forum, please press 1 on your keypad. If not, press 2 on your keypad. If you wish to abstain, press 3 on your keypad. Fifteen seconds. Voting is completed. The resolution passes. And now I want you to give yourselves a hand because you did a marvelous job getting us through all the business.